Welcome back to Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet. I'm Kristie.
And I'm Josh, and today's episode is all about authors. Let's read the first story.
Am I the asshole for demanding my girlfriend tells me her author's pen name?
Ooh, I mean, what is she hiding? But also, is it any of your business what she's hiding?
I, male 32, have been dating Siobhan, female 32, for 6 months now. She's always been very vague about what she does for a living, said things like writing and working from home writing. But recently, one of her friends mentioned something and I finally dragged it out of her. She's an author. She writes and self-publishes romance and erotica stories and novels, and while not rich, she's able to make a living out of it. I Googled her name and couldn't find anything, so I confronted her about this. She said she's writing under a pen name, so I demanded she gives it to me so I know what she does.
Wow, okay. OP uses very strong wording. He did not ask her about the books. He confronted her about the books. And he did not request the pen name. He demanded it.
She refused, saying she doesn't want it to be leaked, even by accident, and no one knows. I accused her of not trusting me, and she still refused, which was really annoying.
You've been dating for 6 months. I wouldn't trust you either.
I tried a nicer approach and told her that I want to know her fantasies so I can try it out with her, and she told me that what she writes aren't her fantasies but her readers, and she's not going to tell me.
I mean, that probably just means she's a good author. She's writing for her audience, not herself.
At night, I tried to check her laptop for her pen name, but she changed her password before bed.
Wow, you are going absolutely insane.
I was annoyed and told her she clearly doesn't trust me and it's not fair because I have a right to know what she writes, especially since it's a sensitive topic and I don't know her if I don't know her pen name. She was furious I tried to look on her laptop and told me to go home. Before leaving, I told her when she calls to apologize, I expect to get her pen name with the apology. She called me an asshole on my way out. I thought she'd call by now, but she hasn't. My sister told me that I was the asshole and should apologize, but I just don't see it, and I need a second opinion. Was I the asshole?
You were such a big asshole. I don't even know if apologizing will do anything anymore. You tried to go on her laptop and, steal her personal information. You threw a big tantrum for at least one day, it sounds like, because she wouldn't give in to your demand to find out about her books. And that was some shaky logic, I want to find out your fantasies, you liar.
Yeah, I think that was just him trying to manipulate her into giving it to him. He really thinks he has a right to know her pen name, but he was just since you're not going to tell me, I will try and find some other way to convince you.
I want to know why he wants to know so badly.
He's got to know what inappropriate stuff his girlfriend is writing in these romance and erotica stories.
I mean, that's one option. The other option is he really wants to know how much money she's making off of this.
Oh, maybe that, too. I didn't even think of that.
If you look up her sales numbers, you can get a rough estimate. There's just a lot of reasons she might not want you to have this when you're only 6 months in. That's not long.
Top comment, you're the asshole. And then they quote, I have a right to know what she writes. Based on what? You want to know what she writes. Don't confuse that with having any sort of right to the information. The red flags are strong with this one.
Yeah, OP does not have any kind of rights towards her private life, especially 6 months into a relationship.
I don't think if I was so set on keeping my pen name secret, I don't think 6 months is long enough for me to trust a significant other with that information. Because what if we have a bad breakup and they try and use releasing my pen name as revenge?
Yeah, exactly. 6 months in is still a kind of unstable relationship. Actually, with OP, it sounds like it's a very unstable relationship. So she's probably being very smart not giving you this info. And you spiraled hard the second that she told you no.
You're the asshole. You're just a walking red flag, OP. Demanding, controlling, and feel like it's your right to snoop. That's just grim. Enjoy being single. And someone replied, I'm seeing a potential plot for her next book here. Another comment, you're the asshole with bells on. She wants to write erotica from the safety of anonymity. You don't get to remove that. You're a double asshole for expecting an apology.
Yeah. If your girlfriend had a normal office job, would you expect her to let you come into the office and go through her files and stuff? it's not that different. You're trying to, like, go through all of her work files and just browse at your leisure. That's not how jobs work.
Yeah, that's, like, really invasive, right?
Yeah, OP is crossing a lot of boundaries here.
Someone agrees. I can't believe she doesn't trust me, he said, as he attempted to break into her laptop. I wonder why she doesn't trust you. You're a big old snoop.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know why she doesn't trust me, and then immediately justifies the lack of trust.
Some people think there was a little bit more maliciousness behind his request to know her pen name.
Oh, as if there wasn't enough yet?
OP 100% was going to use her pen name to blackmail and control her. I assumed that in the event of a breakup, he would, use it as revenge. I didn't even think that he would use it now to try and control her, but yeah, I might not put that past him.
I mean, considering that he had a complete meltdown the second she told him no, I guess I would not either. That's a big red flag.
The worst part of this is the real reasons he actually wants this info is because there's elements of being unable to control her and also jealousy because he's concerned she's writing about things he's unable to provide her. He's clearly not actually interested in her best interests at all.
Yeah, I also have to wonder if he's got a little bit of paranoia that she's writing about him in her books. But also they've only been dating for 6 months, so any books that involve him possibly aren't published yet. Which is why he needs those rough drafts off of her laptop.
Yeah, I feel like this is rough. Like, I could see him being jealous of her writing about other guys, but then also, like, super self-conscious and, like, not in liking it if she was writing about him. But don't write about other guys, but don't write about him.
OP just sounds like he's not mature enough to be in a relationship, and honestly, I don't think she's gonna call you back, man. And she's definitely not gonna apologize if she does.
Am I the asshole for writing an unflattering character based on my brother?
I mean, I guess it depends on how blatant you were.
I, 24 female, wrote a short story a few months back to enter into a competition, and the antagonist of the story is a bully character. My story won the competition. Not only did I win a fair amount of prize money, but I now have an agent who wants to help me turn the short story into a full-length novel for publication. I'm very excited about all of this.
Well, good job on that. Sounds like you're doing decent at it so far.
However, the bully character is based off my brother, 22 mil, who is a bully. I am no contact with my brother, aside from family holidays and such, and even then we barely speak to each other. Some of the stuff the bully character did and said was taken directly from what my brother has done and said to me, but I didn't base the description of the character on him. I've not said he was based on anyone, and there was no identifiable information. My brother has a job doing A, he looks like B, and his name is C. I wrote that the bully character has a job doing X, he looks like Y, and his name is Z. Just the dialogue and actions are the same.
Okay, I mean, well, it's awfully hard to call you the asshole when, for one, you changed all those things, and two, it's based off of true events.
True events that happened to her, right?
Right.
Like, this is the bully bullying her, and now she's writing about the stuff that bully did to her. But, to her character now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like she changed any details about what happened. And even if she did exaggerate a little, I suppose it is a different character and description.
Literally, the only way someone could guess I based the bully character on my brother would be if they knew us both personally, like our family. My mother knew immediately after reading it that I'd based the bully character on my brother, and that kind of trickled out to the rest of the family, and then my brother found out. Everyone's pretty angry at me for doing this, but the way I see it is that they should be angry at his behavior. I've said for years the way he treats me is unacceptable. From stealing from me, to insulting me, to mocking my hobbies, to mocking my friends, to spreading rumors, then denying it and gaslighting me, even when I try to call him out, etc. And all our parents have said is, you need to sort this out among yourselves.
It sounds like OP might be trying to sort this out in her own way.
My brother keeps saying it's slander. It's not, and paints him in an unflattering light, but it's all stuff he has done before.
Also, it's libel, not slander. Slander is spoken.
Oh, is that the difference? Libel is written and slander is spoken?
Yes.
Not sure I knew that. If he didn't want to be painted in an unflattering light, then he shouldn't have picked out the paints. Now certain family members are saying I should give him some of the prize money as royalties for using his image, and my parents basically say it was an asshole move. So, am I the asshole?
No, you're not the asshole, and you certainly should not give him a prize for bullying you. What is that logic? I'm amazed OP is only no contact with her brother.
Yeah, I can't imagine being bullied by my sibling and then my parents being like, sort it out amongst yourselves.
Give him money now.
Yeah, that's insane.
Do not reward his bad behavior. And it sounds like you were already no contact with him, so you knew he was going to be an asshole. No matter what, you could have probably written about something that had nothing to do with him and he'd be an ass about it.
Top comment, NTA, but make sure your agent knows about the similarity. They may want to make a few changes to ensure there won't be a successful lawsuit against you. And then someone replied, question, if there's no physically identifying similarities in the book to the brother, the only way he could have a lawsuit is if he publicly admits he's a bully, right?
I don't even know how a lawsuit could possibly work. He can't file defamation because you're not saying that he did these things. And even if you did say that he did these things, it sounds like he did do these things, so it's the truth.
NTA, writers draw from life experiences, and this is your life experience. He has no right to any money earned from your creative effort to share your experience. Ooh, this comment's interesting. NTA, look up the small penis rule, which may be useful. The small penis rule is an informal strategy used by authors to evade libel lawsuits. It was described in a New York Times article in 1998. And then it quotes, for a fictional portrait to be actionable, it must be so accurate that the reader of the book would have no problem linking the two, said Mr. Friedman. Thus, he continued, libel lawyers have what is known as the small penis rule. One way authors can protect themselves from libel suits is to say that the character has a small penis. Mr. Friedman said, now no male is going to come forward and say, that character with a very small penis is me.
That is true. I have heard about that one before. And it is a very good defense. I think OP should be fairly safe, though, because it sounds like she didn't lie or exaggerate any of the stories. So he really has to drag his own name through the mud for a lawsuit that he probably won't even win.
Okay, one last comment. NTA, get out of here. You need to give him money? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. They obviously knew what his behavior was if she could guess that he was the basis, and they should have parented him back then. He can go kick rocks.
Yeah, and honestly, it sounds like your parents can go kick rocks too if they enabled his behavior all that time, and then when you write about it, they're mad at you now?
And want you to reward your brother for it.
I'm sorry, OP, but your family sounds a bit toxic, and please do not share any of your prize money with them.
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, it really helps us out, and it lets us know we should keep making fun content like this for you.
Am I the asshole for not telling my family about being an author?
I mean, I guess you don't have to tell anyone you don't want to.
When I, 27 female, was younger, my parents, late 50s, always told me that I was a great writer, but I absolutely should not pursue writing. They routinely discouraged me and even pulled me from writers' workshops and creative writing clubs in high school and middle school.
Wow, that sounds like a very supportive and loving family.
I mean, I get that, making it as a writer is hard, but I still feel like parents should encourage their children to pursue their passions, right?
Yeah, writing is one of those skills that is very easily translatable to other careers. You can take a creative writing course and then not become an author. You could become literally any other job that requires you to write things down.
An advertiser, for example?
Yeah, any of the creative fields heavily relies on you being competent in writing.
Both my mom and dad, they're divorced, basically never agreed on anything except that you'd be destitute and a poor hobo living on the streets if I pursued writing. So I ended up getting the STEM degree they wanted and have a good job. But I've been writing on the side for 5.5 years now, and I've made a name for myself in a specific niche. I don't make a ton of money, but I've won a couple of awards and have some small success in what has become my hobby. I elected not to tell my family or really anyone about it besides my current partner, 30 male of 3 years. Because, well, fuck them. But also, I write in the romance category, and there's some sexual smut in my books. I guess I feel weird and uncomfortable about sharing that with them too.
Yeah, you never want your parents reading the smut that you wrote.
Anyways, my partner Jack told them about it when we visited my mom and my aunt last month.
Oh, Jack, what the hell?
And now they have been sending me all kinds of messages about how I'm a bad daughter and that I should have told them and shared my success. They basically complained that I robbed them of the opportunity to share info with family and friends about my success.
Oh, now they want to brag about your success, now that, despite all of their best efforts, you have achieved it.
I told Jack that we needed to spend some time apart because I felt like my boundaries were violated. He got upset, but he's staying at a hotel for the moment. I'm thinking about breaking up with him, which I've been told by my mom sounds crazy. Yeah, Mom wants to keep him around because Jack is going to spill all your secrets to Mom. And Mom is like, yes, I finally have an in and can know exactly what my daughter's up to all the time. This guy's going to tell me you should stay with him.
Why are you listening to your mom's advice on this matter? Her and Jack are the main problems.
My mom also didn't call me on my birthday this year. It was a few days ago. And instead sent me a text that said, if you don't want to talk with us, that's fine. This is what that would be like. The message was longer, but that was the paraphrased TLDR.
Okay, so your parents are discouraging of your hobbies and interests, upset when you don't communicate enough, and then petty and willing to hold a grudge and not communicate back with you.
Am I the asshole in this situation? I guess this is a pretty big thing to hide for more than half of a decade.
No, you're not the asshole. You don't need to tell them about a hobby that they actively discouraged your whole life. If anything, they have set the precedent that you need to hide this from them. Because it is for some reason shameful to enjoy writing.
They feel it is not a worthwhile endeavor. So yeah, you don't want to tell them about it because they've actively been pulling you out of all the writing stuff you were trying to do in high school.
Right, if you told them about this when you were like 2 years into your writing hobby, they probably would have done everything in their power to get you to stop. Despite the fact that you're an adult with a job.
Yeah, but now that you're successful, they would like to claim that success as their own. Like, look at how successful our daughter is.
We did such a good job raising her. We always knew she was good at writing.
Top comment. NTA, you are an adult who is under no obligation to share information with anyone when it does not involve them, especially those who have been discouraging in that exact area of practice. As for the situation with your boyfriend, assuming he knew you did not want to share this information with them, and that this wasn't a mistake of him thinking they already knew, that is absolutely a violation of trust and completely unacceptable. Regardless of if you break up or not, you need to have a conversation about that. OP replied, yeah, he absolutely knew. He says he forgot about it, but I've told him a lot, and we've had detailed conversations about why I choose not to tell them. Thanks, I do feel like my trust was violated, and I need to sort out if it can be rebuilt. I understand it's not the same thing as if Jack had cheated on me, but I also take trust issues, no matter how inconsequential, seriously.
I mean, you don't need to justify the fact that he betrayed you with, like, I know it's not as bad as him cheating on me. It's still pretty damn bad. So I think you're completely justified in being mad at him, OP, especially because he knew you didn't want your parents to know about this. It's just a complete betrayal of your trust. You confided in him, and he went to the two people that you don't want to know about this hobby.
Another comment. NTA, but how could you? You won an award and deprived your mom of bragging rights at last week's social events. Mom and Aunt sound to be having what I can only call a toddler tantrum. OP replied, you joke, but my mom lives for being able to brag about her kids. Taking that away from her for this long is a huge slight in her eyes.
Yeah, how is she supposed to prove to all of her friends that she is the better mother if she can't brag about every little success that her children have? Not only are you successful in the STEM field, but you've also written several popular books in various fetishes.
Yeah, I don't know if parents want to be, bragging about the smut that their daughter writes. She writes such good smut. It is so spicy.
It is exactly my kink.
No, no, I don't want to know. She doesn't get to brag about things she never supported you for. A parent only has the right to brag about their child insofar as their child is wonderful in ways that they encouraged or worked hard to develop in their child. You are a good writer despite your parents, not because of them. She failed as a parent in supporting your talent. She doesn't get the rewards for something she didn't earn.
That is a very optimistic view of overly strict parents because they absolutely will claim every success as their own every chance they can get.
NTA, you are surrounded by assholes, though.
You kind of are. Sorry, OP.
Also, your mom's passive-aggressive birthday text is awful and clearly makes her the asshole.
Yeah, that was a hell of a text, wasn't it?
Yeah, that is so petty. I can't imagine having such unsupportive and petty parents.
It was pure manipulative guilt trip. Like, there was nothing good about that text. And she wasn't even able to give you the silent treatment quietly. She had to send you a text and being like, hey, I'm giving you the silent treatment. I just want to make sure you understand that.
Yeah, she couldn't handle the silence. She needed to let you know that the silence was happening. But Reddit overwhelmingly says NTA.
Yeah, and I gotta agree. You're an adult. You do not have to tell anyone about your hobbies if you do not want to. Your boyfriend really stabbed you in the back, and your parents are stressful.
My daughter blames me and my husband for ruining her book.
Well, why would you do that?
My daughter, Sarah, 18, is currently at college. A few months ago, she came to me and told me she was writing a book. She loves writing, and she seemed very excited about the book, telling me constantly the word count and how many pages, the character development, etc. She told me not to tell my husband and her father, James, because he can be very controlling, and she wanted it to be a surprise. She came home for a visit 3 weeks ago telling me that she finally finished the book and that it was 250 pages, and she told both of us. She sent James the book. He gets up much earlier than she does, about 4 a.m., while she will wake up at noon when she doesn't need to be up early. And in this time, when he read the first chapter, he rewrote it and told me that it would be an entirely new story.
Okay, no. Don't do that. Why would you do that?
He told me that he didn't like the original first chapter, and that was why he rewrote the story.
I wouldn't tell James about anything either.
When she woke up, he told her about his rewrite and how he had a new amazing book. Sarah has a terrible temper, and she got upset, telling him that she wanted him to read her story and she didn't want a new story. He got upset at her in turn, telling her that she wasn't even giving his story a chance.
Why is it suddenly his story? This is crazy.
Of course, I was in the middle. Sarah was demanding I read her story, and James was demanding I read his first chapter. I read the chapter that James had rewrote and confessed that I wasn't a fan of it. Sarah was furious that he hadn't bothered to read the rest of the story. And like I said, she has a bad temper, so she told him that she hated the rewrite. He stormed off to his room, and I didn't see him for the rest of the day. Sarah decided to leave to go back to college as it was a Sunday. In the morning, he sent Sarah this email, which he also forwarded to me. And then it quotes, "From now on, I would ask that you not show me any of your writing or ask for any help editing anything. I'm sure that by now you and Ma have discussed our problem, and I no longer want to be involved in your editing needs. By the way, the story you wrote is a ripoff of a TV show and is trite and poorly written. It would need a major rewrite if you wanted to do anything with it. And as I said, I will not be the one to rewrite it." End quote.
My God, that is a crazy email. She didn't even ask him to rewrite it. Why is he acting like she wanted editing? She just wanted him to read it because she wanted her dad to be involved in her life, I think. And he lost his damn mind.
Sarah and James are currently not speaking. James and I argue a lot, so our relationship is basically fine. He just does not mention Sarah.
Sorry. That was a crazy sentence right there. We argue a lot, so our relationship is basically fine.
I mean, this isn't anything out of the norm. This is just another day.
I guess if you're happy with it, OP, I prefer having a slightly more supportive partner.
He feels as though he is the wronged party here because we, and I quote, did not give his story a chance. I tried to read the book, but I must confess that I found the first chapter a little hard to get through too. So I stopped reading and I told Sarah this. I told Sarah that I wasn't a fan of fiction and that it was hard for me to read books. She called me crying and told me that she worked for months on this book and was so excited about it and that she wanted her parents to support her on it. She told me that I treated her like I'd treat a stranger on the street and I didn't even try to read past the first chapter. I told her I'd try to read it again and she said don't bother, that the project is ruined and that she won't be working on a second draft. I feel like the bad guy here and I don't know how to proceed. Should I try to read the book or give it up like she said? Should I be speaking to my husband or should I just let it go? Too long didn't read. My daughter Sarah wrote a 250-page book. My husband James decided to rewrite the first chapter and make it his story, leading to a huge argument. James called her book trite and poorly written. James and Sarah are not speaking. Sarah called me crying and said that the book was dead and that she blames both of us for not supporting it. Is there anything I can do or is it too late?
I mean, you definitely should have been more supportive in the moment. It's absolutely crazy that your husband decided to rewrite someone else's book unprompted, and you were just neutral and in the middle. You gotta take somebody's side, and he was being out of line. Also, when she asked you to read the book, she wasn't really asking you to, like, give some deep insights that will transform her entire writing career. She just wanted you to read through it and say I liked it and be a supportive parent.
But no, this is garbage. Let me rewrite it. I can do it better.
Or just, fiction is not for me.
Yeah, both of her parents' responses are terrible.
Just read through it and be like, hey, that's great.
Good job, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, if you don't like fiction, just be supportive and vague. Is that so hard? Because it sounds like she wasn't coming to you for, like, feedback.
She just wanted to involve them and be like, look what I did. Are you proud?
It kind of sounds like that to me. If she did come to you for editing, just be like, I think it's really good, and I'm not really qualified to give feedback on it. Should we help you get an editor or something? There's so many supportive things you could have done, and you didn't do a single one.
Top comment. Wow, your husband is a jerk. If he wanted to write a whole new story so badly, he should write it himself, not try to force his idea onto your daughter, and then insult her when she is upset. Writing can be difficult work, and finishing something even more so. Your daughter is young and just looking to you and your husband to be supportive of her new hobby, and you both just seemed uninterested and a bit harsh with her. I know personally, if I was Sarah, I would want an apology, but even just showing a little bit of interest in her writing would be a huge deal. And then OP replied, so do you think I should read the book that she had sent me? I feel as though she might be upset in any case.
Read the damn book, OP. If you want to be supportive, read it and apologize for not reading it beforehand. Also, it's crazy to me that your husband just woke up in the morning and spent under 8 hours rewriting that chapter, and he's like, mine's better. He put in so much time and effort, didn't he?
He's just trying to one-up his daughter and is upset it's not working.
Yeah, he is. And it sounds like he didn't read any further than the first chapter either.
No, and he's like, I can do better.
Like, read the whole book before you get all judgy on it. Openings are hard. Maybe her opening was just kind of rough and the rest of the book was a masterpiece. You'll never know if you don't read it.
You don't rewrite someone else's story. That's horrific. And the way you both of you are attacking the book is also terrible. You are here to be supportive, not a jerk.
Sorry, I feel like a lot of authors on AO3 are going to disagree with that don't rewrite someone else's story logic, because that's just fan fiction. Maybe husband likes it so much that he had to be the first fanfic author. No, that's not true. He clearly didn't like it, and that's not good behavior for a parent.
And then Reddit thinks that the daughter shouldn't say that the book is dead. Like, she needs to finish this book, polish it up, and get it published, and then put a little inscription in the front that says, this book is dedicated to my parents who told me it was trite and poorly written. Fuck you guys.
I love that idea, except for one part. She needs to take that little inscription and put it after chapter 2, where mom and dad will never see it. I'm just trying to think, like, how long does it take to read 250 pages? That's not a crazy long book.
4 hours. I mean,
Sorry, what do you mean 4 hours?
How long does it take to read 250 pages?
It only takes you 4 hours to read 250 pages?
I mean, I read 60 pages an hour, so 250 to, yes.
All right, well, I think my number is going to be closer to 12 or 16, but yeah.
250 pages it does not. It might take you like 6 hours. I can't believe it would take you more than that.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I read at least half as slow as you. I think I've timed myself against you before.
I mean, most books, unless they're like the super tiny writing really smashed together on a page, but most books, 1 page a minute.
Okay, well, I guess that reinforces my point then, because it sounds like OP and her husband would not have to put in a lot of time to read this whole book. And they couldn't even put in between like 4 and 10 hours to support their daughter.
Okay, and then OP has a little mini update in the comments. I've read all the comments and I understand now what has to be done, but I must emphasize that my husband will not apologize. Here's my daughter's response to his email and his response to that, which I failed to include in my original post. And then the daughter's email follows. If that is what you really want, I'll give it to you. I believe that my writing has been the source of too many of our fights. I feel sad that you've said these things in anger because I think you'll look back on them and regret it. This is why I won't say anything in anger now. Because in 20 years, I don't want to be lying awake at night remembering the cruel things that I have said to you. I think I realize after too many fights is that time makes you forget what they were about. But the things you say, they stick. They stay under your skin. I would concede every fight I've ever had with anybody if I could just take those cruel words back. This isn't worth it, and you know it deep down. I could get angry at you, but the truth is there's nobody else in this world who is my dad, and I'm thankful that you are still here and that I am too. I'm sorry I said things that made you upset. It wasn't my intention. And then here's the dad's response.
I'm sorry. Just real quick. That sounded like the most beaten down email I've ever heard. That poor girl.
Yeah, like she just wants her dad's love and is like, I'm sorry I said things to upset you, when she's clearly not the one in the wrong.
It sounds like she's just given up.
But here's the dad's response. I spent a good 8 hours editing that chapter. I have now made those chapters much, much better. When I showed you the first chapter, instead of acting like I did a good thing, you slammed the door. If this is how you react to people who try to help you, you need to get into another field. One where you are not so invested in the sacredness of what you say and how you say it. I am done. So dad, did not accept her apology and doubled down.
Yeah, the dad is being a big ol' unsupportive asshole right now, isn't he? Like, his daughter sent him that just depressing email about how she's given up and he's right. And he's still attacking her.
And then there's an actual update the next day. This update is very soon, but I felt as though it was urgent because today is Easter and I didn't want it to be ruined for Sarah. I decided to apologize to her again. Since she told me explicitly not to look at the book, I wanted to tell her that I want to read the book and discuss it with her so she'd give the okay. I tried to call her last night. She didn't answer. She might have been out, so I wrote an email apologizing and telling her that I really want to read her book because I knew I was missing out. She called me this afternoon and told me basically that I was too late. She said that she'd apologized to James and tried to appeal to me, and both times it was a mistake. She also said something about how she didn't believe I wanted to really read it, and she wasn't going to let me just so I'll feel better. She told me not to bother calling again and hung up. So I apologized and she didn't forgive me. This is the first time she's never been with us for Easter. I read all of what you told me and I don't want to lose her, but I cannot control my husband. I can only control myself. I don't know what else to do because I'm pretty sure she is done with us.
I mean, I guess it's good that you reached out, but it sounds like you didn't put any effort in other than just a lip service apology. Like, I know she said, I don't want you to read my book. Personally, before I called her, I probably still would have read the book and said, hey, I know you told me not to read the book, but I did because I want to prove that I'm sorry. You didn't do any effort in proving that you were sorry. You just said it.
It seems like this is too little, too late, you know? Like, they've probably been this way her whole life. And this one instance of them rewriting her book and not supporting her book and everything was the last straw. Then she decided to cut contact.
I mean, from her email, that seems very clear, right?
Yeah.
And what do you mean you can't control your husband? What kind of marriage are you in?
One where they fight a lot and that's normal and acceptable.
Right. Like, I'm sorry. I can't, outright manipulate and control you. But I don't know. If one of us is getting a little out of pocket, the other one has plenty of authority to be like, hey, calm down.
Yeah, right? She's not doing that at all. So given what little we know and can extrapolate from this story, I am not surprised that Sarah cut contact, and I think it's about time.
Yeah, OP, I think that when things get that heated between your husband and your daughter, you're not doing anyone any favors by trying to stand in the middle neutrally.
Top comment on the update. You're an enabler to your husband's narcissism. You kept putting the blame on her, even saying she has a bad temper, when it is obvious you and your husband are at fault here. You are both shallow and very mean. I hope your daughter is having a peaceful Easter with people who support her unconditionally. Leave her alone, give her space. Your daughter doesn't owe you time or forgiveness for your asshole behavior.
Yeah, that's true. There were so many other things in the story that I didn't bring up. The fact that she called her mean, and she also mentioned that daughter sleeps until noon in like a very negative light.
Yeah, husband's up at 4. Why isn't daughter up at 4 a.m. too?
Husband is up at an unhealthy hour, and he's apparently just chugging coffee and rewriting a whole chapter in someone else's book.
And then someone else in the comments quotes OP, "I cannot control my husband, I can only control myself." And then they go on, "Jesus, are you really so afraid of your husband that you cannot stand up to him about your own daughter's feelings? You are a terrible mother."
She said they fight all the time. Fight about this.
And then someone replied to that, "On the money, what a fucking cop-out. It's your damn daughter. Stand up for her and stop waffling."
Yeah, there are some things that should be worth fighting for, and your daughter's feelings really should be on that list.
Okay, one final comment. "Your update makes me sad because it's painfully clear that you still have no understanding of what you did that was wrong or how fundamentally messed up your enabling of your husband is. You have continually failed to stand up for your child to your, pardon my language, but a fucking douchebag of a husband. If you let him treat you like this, you need help, but I'm guessing at this point you're too entrenched to see it. That you have convinced yourself that it's okay that he treats your child, whom you presumably love, in the same way, that's unforgivable." So Reddit really thinks that even though OP tried to apologize, it didn't seem like they really meant it, and they really need to learn to stand up to their husband and protect their daughter.
Yeah, I mean, from the little that we know about the situation, it sure sounds like that was just a lip service apology, and she didn't actually put any effort to, like, put her money where her mouth is or her time where her mouth is and actually change anything. I don't know. OP, you either gotta change a lot about yourself and your life, or just accept the fact that your daughter does not want to talk to you. That sucks. Mostly for your daughter.
Am I the asshole for bringing a legal case against my sister-in-law after she wrote a book about me, after ruining her book deal?
I mean, this is one of those ones where I gotta ask if your legal case has any merit, or if she actually just told the truth about what you did.
I've had what some might refer to as a colorful life. Several long stories that are all very dramatic. The people who know are my boyfriend, my brother, one friend, my gran, and my therapist. Other than these 5 people, no one else knows anything, and I don't like talking about it. My brother has apparently told his wife, my sister-in-law, about my life. She's a writer, and she's been working on some secret project for 7 or 8 years. Sister-in-law always said as soon as it was done, she wanted me to read it. When she sent it to me, I realized she wanted me to read it because it's my biography. Actual events from my life in book form. Plus the main character has my exact name with a different spelling. With the real spelling in there a couple times by mistake.
Okay, so the different spelling was probably like an afterthought then?
Yeah, and then like going back and editing to change the name, she probably missed a few.
I just feel like writing a biography about someone else without ever telling them is a little bit unhinged. She's not even like a famous figure or anything.
But her life has been crazy. My sister-in-law even confirmed in an email that it came from what my brother told her about my life. There were a couple of things that were made up, but it was obviously me. Sister-in-law also said that she'd sent it to a friend of hers who works in some tiny publishing house. And when I say tiny, I mean less than 10 employees. The friend liked her book and wanted to publish it. I told sister-in-law I was uncomfortable with it. Sister-in-law said it was her novel, it was fiction, she spent years on it, and no one will make the link between me and the protagonist.
Yeah, how could anyone link Beth, and Beth with an E at the end, together? Just the cloak of anonymity is so strong here.
My boyfriend put me in touch with one of his friends who's a solicitor, and they sent a letter to sister-in-law's publisher saying that if they intended to publish this book, they could expect a legal case. The publisher dropped her. Like I said, they're a tiny company, and they couldn't afford the legal fees. Particularly this kind, as this stuff, primarily libel with some privacy breaches, can go on for years.
I think a big publisher also probably would have dropped her. Who wants that much heat from an author that you haven't even invested in yet?
Sister-in-law has now decided to self-publish. My brother told me. I found the page she's selling them from. I contacted my boyfriend's friend again. We sent her an almost identical letter with some edits based on her self-publishing. She can't afford the legal fees, but is unemployed, so this book, which has already sold quite a few copies, is her only income. If she takes it down, she loses the money. And with this case, if she leaves it up, she also loses money. Both sister-in-law and my brother called me an a-hole, saying she should be able to write what she wants, and she spent nearly a decade on this book. with my brother adding that he only gave me the link as a heads up, not so I could take his wife to court. And I am implicating him in my case as he's the one who gave her the information, which could also negatively affect his livelihood. They also pointed out that the odds of someone who knows me reading the book and making the link are slim to none, and that based on how many sales she's made so far, this could be the difference between them being able to pay rent and them being totally fucked, given that sister-in-law lost her job due to cutbacks a few months ago. So, am I the asshole?
I mean, I don't think you're the asshole. It sounds kind of crazy that she wrote a book about you with a very slight spelling change. It's Kristie with a Y instead of Kristie with an IE. Like, some people just don't want their dirty laundry aired out there. How did she spend 10 years on one book and never, like, confirm with the person the book is about that this is okay?
Right? Like, writing a biography about first a non-famous person and then a not dead person and someone who has a close personal relationship without okaying it with them seems so weird to me.
It really feels like she skipped a crucial step there, doesn't it?
And I get, writers base characters on people they know, but you've got to change enough of the details that people aren't going to recognize them. She didn't even change the name, really.
Yeah, her brother said very confidently that no one in their life could possibly connect these two things. And it sucks that they might not be able to make rent, but depending on the content of this book, could it damage your ability to make paychecks and not make your rent?
And it seems like these are events that OP does not want everybody in the world to know about. They say only 5 people in the whole world know about it. Now 6, since brother-in-law told sister-in-law. And that they don't like talking about it. And now sister-in-law is suddenly putting it out there for the whole world to know about.
It just seems really uncool behavior. Because sister-in-law was not involved in the events initially.
Yeah, so all these events she's writing about, they're not her life experiences. They're OP's life experiences that she's just, heard about third hand.
Yeah, because if the book was about OP's brother and she was a side character in the book, I might call you the asshole for complaining about true events that happened. But you're apparently the main character?
Yes.
So it does seem like this is just very focused on you.
And she says it's fiction, but it's based on real events, based on a real person, and no details were really changed. I don't think it is fiction. It sounds like nonfiction, and you can't write that about someone if they don't okay it.
Yeah, because, authors do base stuff around people they know, but there is a spectrum of what is acceptable, and it sounds like they're fairly far into the not acceptable range. At least in my opinion.
Top comment, why did your sister-in-law even spend so much time writing a book about you without running it past you first? And that she tried to publish it again after you shut her down makes her even worse. NTA.
Yeah, that persistence isn't great, is it?
And then someone replied to that comment, writer here, NTA. Sister-in-law said it was her novel, it was fiction, she spent years on it, and no one will make the link between me and the protagonist. It's not a novel if there are verifiable events from someone else's life included.
I'm not 100% up to date on what is libel and what you can and cannot use in a parody of someone else. If it was very accurate to actual events that happened, I have to wonder if a libel suit could go through. It's just hard to claim that you were damaged by something they said about you when it's true. But she did change some details, so that might be key to the case. My only concern is that OP does sound a little bit like they're using the lawsuit to bully them because they know they can't afford to fight back. Having said that, though, I still feel like sister-in-law is a far bigger asshole for writing a whole-ass book about you without getting your permission.
Here's another comment. NTA. Sister-in-law took a big risk stealing your life story and poorly fictionalizing it. And your brother had to have known, as he was telling her, what she was doing with the information. Obviously, you need to decide what your endgame is. Complete removal of the book from being sold, edits to actually fictionalize it, etc. Since she is self-publishing, you could probably serve that letter to any retail outlet or website that carries it. You probably don't have a strong case. You don't need to win a judgment to compel the action you want.
So at the end there, that author also agrees that there might not be much of like a legal case to get her to stop writing the book.
Yeah, but people and companies just don't want to be involved in a lawsuit. So, I mean, if you file a lawsuit, they'll drop it, probably.
Right, and I suppose that the question posed to us is OP the asshole? Not, what is the legal power that she wields? And I feel like she's not being the asshole here. Sister-in-law wrote a whole damn book about you.
About stuff she probably doesn't want being public.
Right, so you are entitled to your privacy, OP.
And then OP replied to that last comment, I'd be happy with her even just changing the name because it's my first and last name she's used, like Amy Smith to Amy Smith, but now there's an E on the end of one of them. But she's refused because it's part of the title, the website design, and every element of her marketing. And she says she's got paperback copies printed, so she'd have to fix those too.
This just sounds like she's committed so much without getting like final approval from you, because OP does own the rights to her likeness.
OP continues, the solicitor was honest that it wasn't a very strong case aside from a few key elements. Like she claimed the book version of my ex-boyfriend, whose name in the book is also a misspelt version of his real name, broke the law, which there's no proof of, and that's pretty crucial to us accusing her of libel.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if maybe libel is not the path to walk down.
The added elements also suggest that I've acted in a way that can make me look bad, but I'm not too concerned with actually winning the case, as I've been told the most realistic goal here is not to win, but to make her distributing the book as difficult as possible, like sending the letter to any retailer that carries it, as you mentioned.
See, and that's the only thing that I keep getting caught up on, because I have a lot of trouble getting behind somebody filing a frivolous lawsuit just to bully somebody who is less financially stable than they are. But she did publish a whole ass book about you, so I still think that you're not the asshole.
One more comment. NTA, she can write about literally anything, and for some reason she chooses to write about you. WTF, why couldn't she write about herself? She could have asked before spending time and effort on this endeavor. I would sue her for anything she has, too. Also, needless to say, don't tell your brother anything. He clearly cannot be trusted. If they don't back down, I would probably drag the brother in too. This could literally ruin your livelihood if it gets published. It's private stuff that you might not want to be public.
Yeah, and that's why I think you're not the asshole in the end. You really are entitled to your own privacy. And it sounds like every aspect of this book is just focused entirely on you. The title, all of the branding is just your name with a slight misspelling. That's crazy right there.
Okay, I lied. I said that was the last comment, but I found one more I want to read. NTA, the odds of someone who knows you reading this book are slim to none? Are they insane? Your brother's wife published a book. It would follow that your brother's friends are going to buy and read this book because that's who Pity reads self-published books. Many of them will know the name of his sister. That will get them talking about, hey, brother's wife named the protagonist of her book after OP. Isn't that odd? And then it will all come to light. I was thinking that too. I was like, what do you mean no one who knows me is going to read it? That's who is going to read it because all your friends are going to buy it.
Yeah, your sister-in-law essentially wrote a tell-all hit piece about you because everybody's going to be able to connect those dots. Those dots are practically overlapping.
Am I the asshole for refusing to buy my girlfriend's book?
How much could the book possibly cost? Just be supportive and buy the book.
So my girlfriend, we live together, wrote, sold, and published her first book. I think that is amazing, and I'm very proud of her. I believe that I was very supportive. I participated in beta reading, had my hand in text editing. I did some changes in every single page, like a lot of suggestions and editing. I do not want to undermine what she did, but I really did spend a lot of time on this. And I gave her a bunch of praise and critique. We celebrated when she sold the book to a publisher and all, so I don't believe that I was unsupportive. However, she got very angry today because I refused to buy a physical copy of the book. I said that I just don't get this. We live together. What? Her argument is, we live in a small country and every copy sold matters and I should show support. I replied that the readers should buy her book, not her partner. Anywho, am I the asshole?
I feel like you might be a little bit the asshole. and I feel like you're over-applying guy logic to this situation. Like, it's inefficient. She received a book for free from the publisher, so we have one. We live together, therefore we both have that book. Just buy a copy and gift it to somebody. Be like, I wanted to be supportive, so I bought a couple copies of your book and I passed them out to my family.
Top comment. It's up to you, but I'm leaning towards YTA. Personally, I would buy my partner's book and get the very first personally signed copy to keep and proudly show it off. But you do you. Will it break the bank to show her support? Will it hurt you to buy it? It's a pretty big deal to get signed with a publisher. Congrats to your girlfriend. I wish her all the success.
Yeah, I know essentially you're like handing $20 to a retailer and your girlfriend probably sees like 50 cents of that.
But you gotta up her sales numbers, right? The sales numbers matter.
Right, I know that you've read it. I know there's a copy in your apartment. Just buy another copy of the book is my opinion of it.
Especially once your girlfriend told you it's important to her that you buy a copy.
Right, that should settle the matter right there.
Like, how hard is it to do this one small thing to please your girlfriend that she told you it would please her if you did this?
I like the idea of having the very first signed copy in your apartment. But also, just buy like a few copies and pass them out, like I said. Spread the word a little. Do some marketing.
Someone else agrees with you. I would buy additional copies to gift to friends and family. Show them how proud of her you are.
Yeah, these days you gotta do self-advertising, even if you go through a publisher. So, buy a couple copies and send them off to an influencer that you like.
Another comment. You're the asshole. It's a gesture of support. She doesn't care if you never read it again. She only cares that you believe in her enough to buy a copy. There's no point in giving someone flowers either, as they just die after a couple days. It's about the gesture and what it means to the person you bought them for. If I were you, I'd be buying copies for friends and family to show my support. But that's just me.
Yeah, and OP was very supportive through the whole process of making the book, so they get a lot of brownie points on that. But it feels like you did not stick the landing.
Here we get an author's perspective. You're the asshole. As an author, I would advise you to buy her book. Signing on with a publisher is huge. Getting your first book printed is huge. Having your significant other refuse to buy it is hugely disappointing. You think you've been supportive, but not buying the book makes it seem like all your previous efforts were just for show. Like smiling and playing happy to indulge a toddler who handed you a scribbled picture. It's unlikely that buying the book will break your bank, so why are you so reluctant? Seems like a weird hill to die on, and planting your flag in it is probably incredibly insulting for her.
I can't help but think of this from like the standpoint of producing videos for YouTube and social media. Mm-hmm. And you star in these videos with me, and then I go and edit them for like 8 hours. And I feel like my feelings might be hurt if you didn't watch the video after.
I do. I watch every video you put out, that we put out, because I lived through all of this, but I want to see how you edited it as well, you know. And also it's, you know, it's just nice to get the numbers up and show support for our channel. So I watch the video the whole way through and then like it.
Yeah, and there's also just that element of supporting the final creation. It's like, here, it's done. You did it. And I feel like she wants that feeling of, it's done. I did it. Praise me.
Yes, buy that book and be like, good job.
So I don't even think OP's like a big asshole. They're in asshole territory though, and it's very easy for them to just take a quick step back over that line.
Yeah, it's so easy to become not the asshole in this situation. Why don't you just do it? Okay, and then there is a small edit from OP.
Okay, I'm a little worried, but optimistic.
Thank you, good people of Reddit. I guess I am an asshole and a fool. We'll try to be better. Cheers. He never says that he's actually going to go buy the book, but I think that's what he's implying. And I really hope that he does go buy the book.
Yeah, good for you, OP. You took your criticism. You took your lumps. Go buy the book and everything will be right.
All right, that's our last story for this episode of Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet.
Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you next time.